Good morning, RV sales pros. We are talking today about how to get RV financing. I guess I could say morning, but it could be afternoon or evening wherever you are as you watch this video. Joined in house by an anonymous RV sales pro who's still in the industry. Won't name names because that might impact things.
Hello.
Hello. What's up, man? So today we're going to talk about financing.
That's
Um,
perfect.
yeah, so when you're selling an RV, because I know you're in the industry right now, Um, what have you noticed when it comes to financing? Somebody says yes to the unit, and then from your perspective as a salesperson, like what do you see happen from there? Like you turn it over to a finance manager. Does that make sense?
I noticed that like a lot of the dealerships these days like to have the financing done in-house because they get paid to do the financing. So that could be a bargaining chip as well. You might be able to get a little bit of a discount, on the unit for financing. If you go get your own financing, they look at that, the dealership looks at that as cash. And so they don't love that as much because they don't get paid. So you could get the same exact loan through the dealership as you could go get on your own. Sometimes even better because those dealerships have relationships with the bank, and so if you let them do that, sometimes you can get a little bit of a better deal, and then you don't have to worry about the hassle and not knowing what you don't know about lending,
Yeah.
and let them go shop it for you. Um, if it's one thing I noticed too is if you'll tell them to stick to maybe just a few lenders so they don't do it like the car business, where in the car business they'll shotgun your credit out to 10 or 15 different lenders. That could impact your score. So maybe keep it to 3 to 5, something like that. Um, and those inquiries will fall off at some point. If you get an approval, that one sticks because they then issue you credit at that point in time.
Yeah. So when they do that, they do a hard pull. They change the rules on that. So as long as it's under the same category, it doesn't ding you like it used to when
Mm,
you pull your credit. And so one thing that I've seen is that, like you said, we get paid reserve by the banks. So it's a percentage of the loan for writing the loan. It doesn't change your terms on your end. And the banks pay the dealership to write that loan, sometimes as little as maybe 1% to as high as 8% of the loan, depending on the bank that you're using. With credit unions, you can't really negotiate the rate, but with the national lenders, you can. And so if you get into a US bank or Bank of America, that's a place where you might even negotiate the rate that you're getting.
hmm
One of the things that people don't think about is they think, oh, I'm going to go get an RV loan like it's a car loan and it's going to be easy. I can go get pre-approved and then take that pre-approval out and go and get whatever RV I want. The challenge is that they approve the RV as much as they approve you. And so if you've got an RV that doesn't have the value there, so no invoice, no MSRP sheet, the NADA values or JD Power values aren't coming in, then that
hmm
RV, you're going to have money down to finance it because the bank's only going to lend so much on it. And
Correct.
so
Yep.
it's really important that you land on the RV first before pursuing financing because those rates could change depending on the unit you buy and how much you borrow.
Definitely, it's a harder loan to get. More like buying a house than buying a car. And inside of that too is that I've seen it multiple times where customers come in and they've gone and bought their truck maybe weeks before, a month or two before, and then they come in to land on their dream coach, their fifth wheel that they're going to tow, and they can't get approved for the RV. So now
Right.
they bought this truck. I highly recommend getting an approval through the dealership for your RV, then going out quickly, getting an approval on your car,
Yeah.
and closing on it that way.
So one of the things that you could do is you can get your own financing, like you mentioned, and go into a branch and have them pre-approve you. The dealers don't love that because they don't make as much money on you, but that's one way that you could do it. The other is to go into the dealership. You will need to qualify, uh, not only with credit score. I could tell you if you start getting under 670 on your credit score, it gets really challenging to get you approved. And so you start getting into higher interest rates. You're going to have to provide more documentation. If you're a business owner, then you've got to provide at least 2 years of taxes. And if you're one that writes off everything, you could really shoot yourself in the foot because you know you make the money, but the bank on paper is showing you that you make zero money. So when it comes to debt to income ratios, I've had people that are 800 scores that have the income, but when it comes to their taxes and proving income, they don't have anywhere near what they stated on the application. The bank will shut them down.
Exactly. Also, as far as payment, if you're looking for longer payment loans, which in the RV industry typical is 10, 12, 15, and 20-year terms, depending
Right.
on the unit, and then also dollar amounts. But inside of that as well, there's credit score um, limitations as well. So 15-year term has a certain set credit. I think it's what, a 720, and then up to a 780 on 20-year terms, and you got to have a higher score to get approved with certain lenders.
Yeah, right now, I mean, the highest scores are pushing 870, 880, somewhere in there, 890. They used to be 850 and above. You were top tier credit. Now it's moving up. If you're under a 760, you'd be a tier two for most banks, and that's going to
Mhm.
bump your rate up. If
Right.
you're on an older unit, a used unit, that's going to bump your rate up. With some banks, not all banks do that, but for the age of the unit, they're going to charge you more. So you want to factor in about 1% higher on those older units. So I'm thinking, anything older than 2017, 2016, you want to just start figuring about a 0.5% more for your rate just to be safe.
Hmm.
Payment buyers, if you're looking at terms, if you're up to a 12-year term, that's a max term. That's a term that you can do on most RV loans. You're going to spend about $11 per thousand that you borrow. So if you borrow $10,000, that would be an $1,100 or $110 payment, right? Roughly. And so if you're borrowing on the higher end, like 20 year or 15-year loans, then your payment's going to come in right around $9 per thousand with a top tier credit score. If your credit score's lower, you're going to see that jump as high as 15 to $20 per thousand. And
And
so,
right now, lenders definitely love to see skin in the game. They like to
yep,
see some money down.
definitely.
Definitely improves your chances of getting an approval.
Yeah. Here's the other thing that you can do is every lender, most lenders, will lend about 10 to 15% additional on the loan for warranties and protections. So remember that you can do that. You can ask for that even if you go into a branch. And they'll allow most credit unions are about 1,080 for gap insurance. And so that would get you a 7 to 10 year policy depending on the company that you use. But you want to ask for that extra money because if you decide you want an extended warranty, even if you're a private buyer, if you want that extended warranty, you don't ask them for the money you're going to have to pay out of pocket.
Yeah, and in the RV industry, I would highly, highly recommend at least considering extended warranties, protection plans, and gap for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen it. We've seen customers where they buy a brand new unit and they have to take it in for warranty work right away because the limitations on the manufacturer's warranty. I mean, they go out a year and it's a limited defect like you get at Best Buy. I
Yeah,
mean, it's
I've seen
crazy.
people pull out of the parking lot. They have a loan on a brand new unit, and they wreck it a mile down the road. And this has happened multiple times in my career where I've watched this happen. Passed it on my way home from work. There's an accident, and hey, that looks very familiar, like it was just at our dealership.
Oh
And
man.
yeah, and but then you pray and hope and hope and pray that they bought gap insurance,
Yeah.
because the
Yeah.
insurance company is going to go out there and shop and find the cheapest one that they could ever pay out on, say this is all it's worth, and then you're stuck paying the difference between the loan with all the tax, title, everything, and what they value the trailer at, which is,
Yeah. Yeah.
insurance company's going to do everything they can do to not pay out for you. So that's where gap insurance comes in, and that'll pay the difference.
Yeah,
So
perfect. So
yeah.
as a wrap up here, how do you get financing? Go into a branch, pick the unit first, right? Then go into a branch or go into the dealership and ask them to help you get approval. So do your application. You're going to need to get proof of income. So either a year to date pay stub that shows your current year to date on it, or 2 years of tax returns with all the schedules and K1s. That's going to be necessary. You're going to need to figure out how you're going to come up with your down payment and then any other stipulations that the bank might have around your deal. You want to make sure that your income is high enough to support the unit. Usually they won't lend you more than 45% debt to income ratio, which means that if you make 100,000 a year, only 45,000 a year can be going out to bills. Anything more than that, they consider you a risk and they'll shut you down. And
Yep.
so if you make 10 grand a month and you have 4,500 a month going out on your debt on your credit bureau, you could actually put yourself in risk of getting shut down because you have too much debt. And so try and get that in line before you go in and get an RV as well.
Exactly. And then throw down some money, because
Yeah,
the banks like that.
perfect. Well, hope you've enjoyed this video. We're going to do more of these every Tuesday. We're going to launch a new video. Join us live. You can comment, and we can actually comment with you and talk back and forth as we go through these videos, which is awesome for you as you're learning how to become an RV sales pro. Go over to rvsalespro.com, pros.com. I've got it right here. And then make sure you join us on YouTube and subscribe to that channel so that you get notified every time we go live. Any other thoughts today?
Nope. Thanks for having me as a guest.
You bet. You guys take care. We'll see you in the next video.